Good evening, everybody. This is Max Farrow. This is DexTrader.com, and I want to welcome you to our webinar this evening. Our webinar tonight is hosted by myself, Max Farrow, as I said, and you're here on DexTrader.com. And one of the things that most of you that are in this room, and thank you very much for everybody showing up tonight. I know that you're taking some busy time in your lives to put things together and figure things out, and we're going to have a mutual direction here. Now, for the next hour or 30 minutes or 40 minutes, whatever it's going to be, I'll try not to make it too long for you. But for the next 30 minutes to an hour, I want you to just to kind of take out all those worries that you have about looking at new places and trying to find stuff out. Maybe because there's a wide variety of people that are in the room tonight. There are people that are brand new, never traded before, have traded a lot. You've been looking for the right thing. You've been screwed over. You've been bullshitted, you've been ripped off, and whatever the system is, right? Whatever the reason is that brought you here tonight, I want you to put all those reasonings aside. And I just want you to listen to some of the tools that we have, some of the things that we can do, some of the things that we teach, our sincerity of what we want to build and help you build, and reasonings for that tonight. And if you could just sit back for the next half an hour and don't worry about success rate and how much money you can do and all that kind of stuff, but just answer some questions and really try to help yourself figure out your direction as well tonight. And you may not get everything tonight that you're looking for, but I tell you, we're going to hit a lot of the big points for a lot of traders right now this evening, okay? Now, before we get started, of course, the risk and earnings disclaimer, right? This is all nonsense. Let's just be real. We know that every single one of us is different, and I'm going to be able to do things that you may not be able to do because I've been doing it longer or you've been doing it longer. You could do better than I can do, whatever it is. But just know that this stuff is risky and you've got to take heed to that. Okay, so just keep that in mind as we go forward. All right. For some of you that don't know me, my name is Max Farrow, like I stated. I'm a senior trader with Dex. Now, I didn't start off as a senior trader. About 4 years ago, we got ripped off in this industry, and I mean hard. $115,000. I was in radio, I was in advertising and marketing, and I was building social network platforms and doing all that kind of stuff. I'm a programmer, an artist, a musician, those kind of things. And I got into this industry because after being ripped off, I was angry. I was angry because I had a company that was going to trade the money and make us millions. And God, everything sounded so good to be true. I felt very naive. And I'm sorry, I'm not a naive person. But when I'm tricked, and they did a very good job of doing it, not just, hey, we're going to make you $1 million or give me $15,000. No, it was over a period of time, small little increments, and just got bigger and bigger. There were small returns, no yield, small returns, a little bit of yield, and then boom, the big numbers started to hit, and we started to add more money, got involved, built some stuff, and got ripped off. Once the company disappeared, I got angry, and I wanted revenge. Anybody in this industry would have wanted revenge for that. And what was the best way to do it is to try to find a way to get your money back. So I fought tooth and nail for a long time to try to get my money back. Just couldn't. It turned out to be a hard lesson. After that, I swore that I would try to find the right company out there to make something better for myself and my partners, because it wasn't just me who got ripped off. It was my partners. Amy Kuipers, and there's other people in this room too that were my partners from that process too, Tim W. and a few other people, Brian Farrow, Amy Kuipers, and we had a tremendous amount of people that needed to know how to trade or try to make money. And when we started looking, we couldn't find any. We couldn't find any real good companies that would sit you down and talk to you. It was all about the number. It was all about come in and buy, throw some training at you, throw some crazy indicators and a whole bunch of charts and a whole bunch of stuff. It was crazy. I couldn't figure stuff out. And I'm sorry, I have a master's in chemical management, and I still couldn't figure some of the stuff out. It was so complicated and convoluted, right? Once I really started to focus my energies, I came up with a concept called trader's mind. And the whole concept behind that was to settle your trader's mind into building a trading platform for yourself. Right? And it wasn't about just signals or indicators, it was everything. It was strategy, it was mentality, it was winning and losing and being able to fight that losing feel. Okay, so when I started to really get to that trader's mind theory, that's when I started to settle down. I originally was trading anywhere between 13 and 14 hours a day, right? Isn't that sick? It's like an addiction, right? I was trading on Nadex from like 8 o'clock in the morning and then taking some breaks during the day, going to 11 o'clock and then going to 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 to 5. Sometimes I'd even pull all-nighters. I was doing 70, 80 trades a day, and I was barely making it. I was making a little bit of money. I was making somewhere close to this when I first started doing it, but man, it was costing me. Now I trade about 4 to 6 times a day. Yeah, it's kind of sick, right? Big change. I started doing this when I started to do a few things. I started to, the big one is CVG, right? The consistency plus volume equals goal. This is a big equation that we have within our system. This little process here stands for, CVG stands for consistency plus volume equals goal. And what that means is that if I'm trading on Nadex, let's just say, trading one contract at a time, and I'm making $20, and I'm doing well with that, and I ROI at the end of the month, trading every single time I do with one contract, and I make $800 for the month, how do I make $1,600? I simply add volume. I add a second contract to my trades. So once my trades become consistent, then I can start adding volume to get to my goals, right? So once I started doing that, I really started to get a feel for what the market was, what the systems were. I started to make more money with less time, and then I could start focusing those energies into building better and better platforms. So what are we going to talk about tonight besides some of the obvious things about trading? We're going to talk about our sites and we're going to talk about our tools that we have. If you're brand new to the site, then you'll get a big benefit from tonight. And if you're not even a customer yet, or maybe you were a customer before or an investor from before, please know that tonight you're going to see a lot of new stuff in here. And you're going to see a lot of stuff maybe you've already seen. But don't worry, things are changing with us. And I don't mean for the bad or just coming up the new, Dex Trader 3.0 now. We are actually getting more involved now with the clientele. We're getting more involved with our customers. We like to refer to you as investors into our company because you're investing your time and energy and money, and we are doing the same thing with you. So sort of we're a mutual investment firm, right? And Our City Investments, the owner of the company, is very powerful with that thought. Okay, and that's where we're at right now. We're about to release this system, which is not a system at all. It's just human connection and what you're going to get inside. We're going to talk about that tonight, about the tools. We'll talk about the sites. Yes, there's sites involved. There's Dex Trader, Dex Indicators, and Dex Effects, but we won't go too much down that rabbit hole. But we're going to talk about the site and the systems on board that are there, and of course some of the strategies that we're going to apply to help you get to those goals we're going to talk about tonight. But before we do, now this is where we get a little bit of participation happen in the room. Now, before the webinar started, I mentioned to some of you that if I'm going to be asking questions, and I expect you to only answer with sincerity. Okay, and I know that seems kind of weird, right? I don't want you to have any skepticism. I don't want you to have any cynicism in here. And I know this seems like a very general question, right? What is your goal? But I have some rules before you answer the question. The goal that I see for myself is it about money? Is it about time? Is it about working from home? Whatever it might be, make sure that it's obtainable. I'm not talking, what is your goal? I want a house in the Maldives. That's not going to do it. What is an obtainable goal for you that you need to see happen for you in this industry, in this thing that you're trying to do? Because many of you have different reasons why you're here. Some of you want to work from home. Some of you want to do, you want to make a lot of money. Some of you just want some, standard bread so you could make the bills. Some of you want some extra money that, may, go to college, whatever the reasoning is, whatever the source of your reasoning is. Tonight, I want to hear from some of you, what is your realistic money goal to get every single month? What is that for you? If you could type it into the chat room, if you can, I'd really appreciate just to see some numbers in there, and we can kind of work with those. And remember, just keep it reasonable and keep it thoughtful, and put some numbers in now. Ted says $2,000 per month. Sam says $2,000 a week. That's good too. $2,000 a month, 6 to 8. There you go. So I can also start a business. That's a great goal. That's a supplemental into a progression. That's awesome. Great job, Greg. That sounds wonderful. It says $850 a month. Very obtainable goal. Very reasonable. It seems about most of you that are in there have an idea that you're not here. So pretty much safe to say everybody here doesn't think they're going to make $1 million tomorrow, right? Timothy says $100,000 a year. Thank you that you put a year there, not a day. That's right. That's good. $100,000 a year is obtainable. And the reason why I can say that, because the lawyers always come in and say, don't tell them how much money they can make. You can make anything you want to make. I'll be honest with you. You can make anything you want to make. It's going to take a lot of work. Now, I'm putting 4 to 5 hours in a day, 4 to 6 hours a day in trading, and that information yields me about 6,000 to 8,000 a month, depending on what I trade on the average. Some months I could do 13. Some I could do less than that, because it all matters to my time, my energies, my consistency, my personal value of what I have time to trade with. And that's what that comes down to. Now, I'm not saying that any of your numbers are weak. I'm not one of those people that's going to try to entice you by fanning a whole bunch of $100 bills out or showing my sports car in the garage. I don't have one. I have a Buick Enclave, right? It's one step over from minivan. I'm okay with that. Okay, but I'm that person that doesn't live beyond their means or try to be flashy or all that kind of stuff. I like my toys, I like my guitars and my pianos and my music gear and things like that. But that's for me. I seen somebody in there. Greg said he wanted to start a business. The concept of your goal is you have to have it obtainable in your first stages, right? If you try to tell yourself, and I know, please don't try to go down those lines like, well, the secret says that universal attraction says that I need to envision my home. Absolutely. You're going to need to have that, right? But along the way, you got to be able to put the door on the building, right? You can't just say, I want a $50 billion home and it's going to appear tomorrow. You got to do the work to it. Envisioning is great, but envisioning is only the map sitting in your hand. It's not the vehicle that gets you there, right? You have to know your pathway to be able to get there. And that's what this is. Envisioning a good goal for yourself is a reward for you, okay? Now, the only suggestions that I have with some of these is like the $100,000 a year, Timmy, is a great concept of getting to that. What does that break down into segments for you? How much time do you have to work, right? How much effort does it take to put into it, right? And how much dedication you have. I was just messing with you. I did that on purpose to Ted, right? Okay, sorry, Ted. But really, it does come down to a few things. It comes down to whatever your goal is has to be able to be broken down into your availability, into your method of trades. So since I trade 4 to 6 times a day, and my average that I make per trade, if I trade just one contract, is $20, right? Let me get over to the whiteboard here because it's probably a little bit better here. So if I trade 4 to 6 times a day, and I'm trading an average of $20 per contract, when I win, I'm going to win 20, right? Now on Nadex, if you lose, you're going to lose 80 and all that stuff. We won't even talk about success rates at the moment. Let's just say that I'm decent. I'm 90% and above, right? And so with one contract apiece, we alluded to this a little bit before with CVG, just one contract, how much does it take for me to get to that point? So if I'm trading about like this and I'm making about anywhere between, I'd say $80 to $100 a day trading one contract, let's just keep it up here for ease of use, right? And I'm trading 20 days a month. What does that yield out to? About 2K, right? Did I get that math right? Right? Not 2,000K, but about $2,000, right? What does it take to get to this part? Well, it takes a lot of training, a lot of demo trades to get to an idea how all the tools and all the effectiveness works, but it's obtainable because I'm already doing it, right? At one contract. I trade between, sometimes I trade, right now I'm trading 5 contracts at a time. So the point being, okay, because there's losses in here, so you got to keep that in mind. That's why I'm doing between 6 and 8,000, right? So now, just at the work level that I'm doing, I'm meeting Greg's 6 to 8,000. I'm pretty damn near close to Timothy's 100,000. I'm about 72,000 a year. But again, I'm not Timothy, right? Timothy might not be running a multi-million-dollar company at the same time, because I have this. There's Dex Signals, Dex Indicators, Dex Effects World. I have a game building company. I'm a musician, a full-time father, all that stuff, right? So whatever your timing is, and this is how it all breaks down, whatever your timing is now, is that the numbers are obtainable. If you set your goal reasonable, the numbers are obtainable. But once you make them, how do you expand on them? CVG. This concept came to me. I was sick back in January of last year. And I called my brother and said, I don't think I'm going to be able to trade as much as I normally do. And he asked me why not. I said, it's just, I just don't feel good. And I said, I do this one trade that's really, really consistent. I'm just going to add a bunch of contracts onto that. I'll add a bunch of volume to it to get to my goal for the day. Sort of came out to be. That's my flux capacitor moment, right? So once I thought that, then everything else started to change. I understood my goal a little bit better. What was the consistency that could lead me to add volume? And that's where a lot of people they lose their mind. You begin to think that, all right, well, I've done 3 trades in a row now. Now I'm good. Let me add volume. No, it's a very methodical, very long, enduring process to be able to do. We call it the incremental crawl. You'll learn a lot more about that inside. So now that we have an understanding of what our goal is and how in that getting to it can be very simple, and it's all really about the numbers, right? It's all really about the base of consistency. Can we all agree with that fact that to reach your goal, you need to become consistent? Is that a fair statement? If you could answer yes, if it is. If it's not something you think you can do, then answer no, and I'll try to explain it even better. But if yes, we'll move on. Great. I'm glad to see that you all think that consistency is probably, and you might not think this right now, but you will become to think that your consistency is the only thing that matters from this point on. And the only way you're going to get consistent to get to that goal, to get to that cherry at the end, is to do the work. We talked about how much money. Now, your goal of what the amount is, okay, what you want to get to, this is not the same question, because you didn't say how much. I didn't say how much money you want to make. It's sort of ambiguous, right? I have how much money. Your goal depends on how much money you can start with, okay? Consistency only means that the value of your trade, how many times you're winning, how many dots are in the win column, right, over the lose column, right? Consistency. And this consistency isn't viewed on a daily or a weekly. It might be viewed on a monthly or maybe even a 3-month. But you got to set yourself a time period to get through the wins to the losses, right? So in order to get to your goal, to add once you get to consistency and to add money to your volume, is how much money do you have to start with. Now, I'm not going to ask you that in there. You only know that, right? And I'm not going to tell you to go mortgage anything or go sell your stuff or try to get to that point. But if you're starting, this is a business that you're starting right now. But if you're starting this process and you have what we refer to as a chip in a chair, you only have $100 to start with, or maybe $20 or $50 or $100, $200, $300, $400, you might want to rethink it. And there's not many people, not many owners of businesses like I own that would tell you that. They would try to lead you along to tell you that, hey, I think you could do it. Yeah, you got $52, or yeah, you could do that. So pay me $47 of it, and because you got to spend money on training, right? You have to train. If you don't spend money on training, and this is not a proponent for me, folks, because I'm not the only training system out there. You're going to want to get information, but you're going to want to stay with one thing at a time as you do it. You're going to have to spend money on training. You're going to have to put money. You're going to have to spend money on life, of course, as you're trying to make this happen, right? So these numbers you're all going to have to know. How much is going to take for you to survive while you train? And then once you do and you survive demo, right? Because you're going to have to spend money while you demo. Why? Because you got to pay for life. You got to pay for training. How long is it going to take you to demo stuff out? Well, on base signals and those kind of things, 2 weeks to a month to get a good idea of it. From that point, it's really up to you, your own tenacity, what kind of questions you have, how much training you've done, how familiar you are with the MetaTrader 4 system or Nadex or what have you. Okay? So while you're demoing, you're going to have to be either saving money or bringing money in or doing something. You either have to have a job or money set to the side or those kind of things. Some people don't think about this stuff. Some of you are just knee-jerk, oh, I think I should get into trading. Let me go check this out. Oh, yeah, I work 72 hours a week. All right? I get this a lot from a lot of people, too. How can I trade when I do this when I'm working? Is there anything, can you put it on a tablet so I can trade with it, so I can figure out how to do it while I'm at work, so I can do my 72 hours a week and 42 hours of training and 62 hours of sleep? Sorry, maybe not that last one. But the concept's still the same. So to break down into how much money is, once you get to a point that you've survived this part of it, right? This is a part of the process itself. Now, in order for you to start trading, okay, I get this question, what are the minimums? What is the least amount that I can put in an Nadex so I can make money? Well, let's be real. You don't want to buy a contract where you don't get at least $20 worth of profit, right? Cha-ching, $20 of profit, right? That means that you risk about $80 per contract. I know that seems like a lot, right? But this is the worst case scenario you want to be. This is the lowest you want to get on profit. I usually do between $24 and $25. Sometimes I'll do 22 so I could bring it down to 20, depending on what kind of trade that I'm doing, dailies, intradays, and intradays, those kind of things, right? So when you buy a contract, you're actually risking $80. So if I just do one contract, the cost of that is $80. If I lose my 80. If I win my 20. Very simple, right? Now, if I'm doing that, what is the percentage of risk value that you want to do? You have to come up with that number. Well, I heard that if I only risk 10% of my money, that's a good number. Well, yeah, great. So come up with a number, 10%. So what does that look like? Well, let's reverse engineer that. If I times that now by 10, that's $800, right? So 10% of 800 is $80. So I don't want to ever risk any more than one time $80. I need at least $800 in my Nadex account, right? If you do 5%, then you need, very simply math, $1,600. 2.5%, you get where it's going? So the idea is, how do I build more without risking too much at one time, right? So if I'm going to do two contracts, I'm risking $160, and I do a 10% risk value, I need at least $1,600 in my bank or in my Nadex account to be able to do that. Now, the breakdown of how much money comes down to, If you're trying to get to that 4 contracts at a time to make that $6,000 to $8,000 we were talking about earlier, what does that look like? That 4 contracts is $320 of risk for one trade. That's $3,200. Right now in my personal account on Nadex, I have about $4,200, $4,100 something dollars in there that I use, and that's my number. Now on my personal one, now on the corporate one, that's completely different. I can't tell you what I have in there, but on my personal one, I can tell you. And so on my personal one, when I trade with that concepts 2 to 4 contracts, 5 contracts at times. Okay, because I can afford to do it at that point. And that's what I can get to yield for myself. So when I say how much money, we haven't even begun yet to talk about success yet or the tools. We're still in the mentality of getting started. Lastly, is how much time. And the idea of timing is very, very important to all of you because time is money, right? We've all heard that being said. But the big thing is that how much time do you have to trade? If you're trading, like we made fun of the person who called me and it's like, how can I trade, my 72-hour work week? But you have to really think about that. Now, our signals release all day long, right? They're releasing 24 hours a day. That's right. I know Nadex isn't open for 1 hour of that day, but we're not just talking about Nadex now. So 24 hours a day, the signals fire off. The daily signals fire off 6 times a day for daily signals for the daily statements that are on Nadex. The intradays, the NA intradays, and the SR maxes fire off every hour. That's right, every hour. There's over 200 and something signals fired off a day throughout our system. I'll show you what that looks like. So if you can't find a session, which there's 4 sessions a day that trade, the biggest ones, I call them the big 3 because usually the Asian and the Australian session are sort of really commingled really hard. If you're on the East Coast, I'll do East Coast time, from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. East Coast time is the U.S. session. From 2 in the morning, right around that time, the pre-start to, 8 o'clock in the morning, right around in that area, and it even takes you up to 12 noon is the London session. And then after 6 o'clock at night to right around 1:30, 2 o'clock, even 3 o'clock in that time is that Asian session. And that's what you have to keep in mind, is that if you're going to trade one of those sessions, one of those processes, then you have to understand that during that time, you should be focused on that, nothing else. Not how can I put it on my tablet to make it better for me that while I'm on the train, on my way to work, I could throw a couple trades down. Yeah, we got stuff you could do with that. But we have a statement here. It's called, before you learn how to make it easy, learn how to make it. You won't be able to get to your goal or any of that process until you do. So you have to train, you have to learn how to demo, you got to work your ass off, you got to make sure you can survive that drawdown of that time period from training and demo and get to that point. And once you do, you got to think about capital, how am I going to get that money in there, all that kind of stuff. Having a signal isn't the begin and end of all at that point. It doesn't mean just because you have a signal, you're going to go make $50,000 tomorrow, even if you had the money to back it up, because you will make mistakes. So my biggest advice to you is how much time you have should be relative to your goal. If you want to make $6,000 to $8,000 a month, you better have 4 to 5 hours a day to be able to trade, and to do so uninterrupted. Sit in front of your computer and do your work. Learn how to make it easier, because remember, in the beginning, I was doing 13, 14 hours a day to get to the levels that I'm at. And now I'm doing 4 to 5 hours a day. I said it was sort of, is there another one of this? Okay, yeah. This one sort of ties into the last one. I forgot that I put this one here. I do apologize. But it does come back down to how much work you're prepared to do. I spoke to a gentleman when he first started, and I asked him this question. Are you prepared to do some work for it? Absolutely. Yeah, I'll do whatever it takes. And yeah. Got a bunch of lip service. 2 days later, he's like, yeah, I don't want to sit in front of my computer all day. Do you have anything that I can do? No, sorry. We have daily signals that fire off on Twitter, but that's, they're the dailies and it's the only ones we do. Why? Because we have 400 signals released in a day. You're going to get tweets and notifications and 50,000 emails and all that stuff. Be in front of your computer. I'll show you what it looks like here in a moment. But the big question is this for yourself. You don't have to answer this. Is how much work you're prepared to do. Most of you, I can already tell you right now, are answering your head, I'll do whatever it takes. You can show me the money, I'll do whatever it takes. But guess what, folks? I ain't showing you shit. That's what it really comes down to. I can only teach you what I have done. I can only show you what I have done and what I have progressed with, but you have to do it. You have to do it because what works for Ted may not work for Timothy. There's daily signals. They're boring as hell. There's NA intradays and intraday signals. The NA stands for news avoidance. Some of you love trading those intradays. Some of you hate them. You just want to go after and you want to I don't want to trade anyone there's news. And some of you love the scalping system of the SR max trades. But it really does all come down to one thing. What are you prepared to do? How much work are you prepared to do with it to get to that level of expertise, to become consistent, right? To come to consistency, to add your volume to get to your goal. What is it that you're prepared to do? You've all been there before. You've all looked down that barrel of, yeah, let me see how this signal, let's see if this place will work for me. How many of you flipped around? Answer this question in the chat room. How many systems, you don't have to tell me which ones, but how many systems have you tried? 1, 2, 5, 10? How many do you think you've tried? I personally tried maybe 15 or 20. Sam says 3. Congratulations. Remember, I didn't start out as a I won't say a guru, as a trader. I started out as somebody who was looking for, just like you guys, looking for that place. 4 lots. Greg, yeah, absolutely. Timothy, absolutely. Hopefully you'll get answers here that you will not have to worry about going anywhere else, or you'll know how to trade yourself by the time it's over. Okay. Now, let's stop bantering over the methodology behind the process itself, the mentality, if you will. I want to kind of show you what you're in for. Some of you that are new, some of you that are about to start, about thinking about the process. Should I get in? Should I get back in? Maybe you came here before and it didn't work. Remember, mentality is 99% of it. So let's go over and have a look, and I'll show you here what the systems look like. Okay. Well, first off, when you first sign up and you get in, you can actually sign up for the company absolutely free. The only thing you won't get is signals. You'll get all the training, all the tools. I don't think you'll get the charts either on the system. No, you wouldn't get the charts, but you get all the tools and other things, and you won't get book a consult. Those are the kind of things you won't get. But you'll get all of the training and all the processes that are here. Orientation, signals training, Nadex series, the Nadex Ninja series, which is pretty powerful, teaches you a lot about getting in and out of Nadex. The Trader's Mind series, which will show you, listen, the Trader's Mind series, everybody goes through. There's a lot of people who've gone through. And in the Trader's Mind series, there is a part of the process where it teaches you how to do 5-minute binary options trading on Nadex, even without signals. Teaches you how to do them. Are they very successful? Meh, not very, but it wasn't meant to be. It was meant, a 5-minute trade, in my eyes, is meant to teach you how to get in and out of contracts very, very easily on Nadex. Teaches you how to do that, how to set up and install the MetaTrader 4 and get all that process on there so you can learn how to get in and out quickly. Because remember, if time is important to you, learning how to do the signal is as fast as possible so you don't have to worry about paying another month of 97 or 147 or whatever you're paying a month, is probably the best bet for you. That's why we created all the training for free first. I'd rather earn your trust with the training than try to have you pay and then find out, oh, this ain't for me, right? Now, here's another good thing for you. inside the training system, there's some major benefit on, going through all the process, but you're also going to get an opportunity once you pay and you come on board. Training with the actual signals is your next bet. Reading up on it, learning, that's fine. But once you pay, your training really starts, because now you're going to demo. And demo is really going to get you to that level, like we said. Okay. When you do that, you'll then be able to book a consult. You'll be able to use the onboard charts, that kind of stuff. So let's just quickly have a look at the tools themselves, right? We're going to talk about that here, because I want to talk about the training, which we just did. Let's talk about the signals now and what they look like and how they operate within the system. Okay. Going to go to Dex Trader 2.0. Now there's two packages. There is the Dex Trader base package, which is, it has all the signals that you're going to see here. All right. The advanced or the all-in is the actual 5-minute MDM series, which has a web-based platform on it. Okay. But you don't have to download anything. Now, there's 4 types of signals. There's daily signals, which some of you have already gotten to meet, right? This is what we refer to as a range-based signal, and I'll show you what that means. A range-based signal is where a signal will come out at a particular number, okay? Let's just say 1.100. It doesn't matter what pair this is, right? And the actual market, okay, let's say if we call for the signal to be a sell or a bid or whatever, right? So, or a put. Some of you used to binary options, you see put. So, but we have what we call it a sell, right? And we say it's going to sell, it's going to be under this number by, let's just say 11 a.m. Of course, you get to the site and the market price, it's already down here, right? It's already down here. It's probably about sometimes 40 pips into the money already. And you're like, damn, these signals suck. There's no way this is working, right? But the secret behind the dailies is not where the price is at when the signal comes out. It's where we are calling the range. Because there's a thing called retracement. And when that retracement comes back up and does one of these, we have already put a working order on, okay? If you're not familiar with what working orders are, that's fine. You'll learn all about it inside. It's basically where we say, it's almost like a limit order on like a buy, sell, stop area kind of thing, if you're not familiar with Forex compared to Nadex. But we say that if it comes back up to this price, we want to buy the contract in at this particular price. So when it comes back in, it fills our working order, which is up here, because it gets very close to it. We set the margins and what we want to pay for it. Once the close, the higher the number we want to get in profit, the closer it has to get to this number. Okay. But once that happens, it then 96+% will win. Now, in order for this to happen, this happens between 30 and 40% of the time, depending on the pair. Right? And this is how the dailies work. And this is very powerful. If you really know how the dailies work and you watch the training and you go through the process and you practice in this level, right? You might be putting on 4 or 5 dailies in working orders a day, but then you're going to find which one works best for you, which, as you're demoing out, this might take you a month or so to train if you're just doing dailies and to get a good consistency down, to get the flow down, if you will, as you're trading in demo. I have people, because we have over 4,500 members to this network, about 200 of them paying through the process right now, and a lot of them are in dailies. They love them. I love them. This is where I make my money. This and intradays. Okay, so if you can see, let me get you back over to the chart here. Here are the signals for the live daily signals. They come out 6 times a day. There's in the training, it tells you exactly when they come out. You can be sitting down by your computer 15 minutes before the hour. They'll come out between a range of time, usually, 15, 20, 30 minutes. There's at the top of the hour, 15 minutes after, half hour after, and the top of the hour again. It's very, very easy to know when the signals are coming out. You could be absolutely sitting there and ready. They go onto the thing, you get up and you walk away. You come back at the 2.5 hour mark at 11 o'clock or 3 p.m. or 7 or what have you at night. So it's very easy to follow. Along with the signals for dailies, we have intraday signals. Now this is a signal that comes out, right around one every, couple every hour. It doesn't, not every single hour, but a lot of them come out. There's, as you can kind of see, here's how many is this right here? Looks like about 50 intradays or so, right about there, right? Okay. Now, along with these, right next to its kissing cousin is the NA intraday, which will be a lot less because these only come out during no news. So when there is news that has 2 bull or more from our friends over at investing.com, if there is a bull, 2 or 3 bull news that comes out, our signals won't release for that NA intraday. And that's pretty important because some of you don't want to be, watching the news. You might get caught up on that process. So, and then finally is the SR maxes. Now this is for support and resistance max lines, right? And what these are is a scalping trade. And the scalping trade is basically in the following. We give you a process and show you inside the system that when the signal comes out for the SR max and it has a direction, let's just say it has a direction, and we're going to call this a cell, and we're going to call this a number, 11000, right? So it's going to come out. Now it's only going to be, it'll be pretty close to almost being really close to at the money, right? And when this comes out, you're going to be able to buy it at a pretty good number, between $20 and $35 right in that area, right? Now, why is that so important? Why do we cut it so close? Well, because we feel that our MACD, right, using a MACD indicator, that this will be in this direction. And when it's in this direction, we call the signal out. It's pretty accurate. So, but what will happen is that on the MACD, which stands for moving average convergence divergence, there is a process called a crossover. And if on a cell, the lines cross over in an up position, it goes against your trade, you get out of the trade, right? Whether you're winning or you're losing. And we teach you how to do this because you'll then start using the MACD, maybe even a stochastic, however you pronounce it. All right, you might be using some of the other indicators. You might be using support and resistance lines on the chart if you have our Dex indicators package, okay? And you'll find that when you're scalping out of a trade, you're going to save yourself a lot of money. Why? Because you're getting out for about $22 to $25 loss instead of $80 loss, right? So for being the worst case scenario. But the SR maxes is a scalping system that we show you how to use in there. And that's really important because even though that this may have lost by 1 or 2 pips in the system, you may have gotten out in early detection, sometimes even with profit on it, if it's even early enough. If it's super early, sometimes you're in a good enough profit to make it worth your time. And then there's sometimes that you might get a crossover in the last 15 minutes and you just let it ride and you still win. So there's plenty of opportunity in there, but you have to pay attention to it. You have to look at it. Now, in this system, one of the other tools, because you have to think, signals are tools. That's all they are. They're just events that we're calling out that are happening that you have to be able to use, and you have to make your judgments whether or not to be in those trades or not. You're not going after every single one. You're not going after every single asset unless you've got $1 million to be able to blow away at this and put a whole bunch of money into Nadex. You wouldn't be able to cover 300 or 400 trades a day, right? Don't be silly. You're just trying to look for perfection in here. Get how many trades do you need in a day to make your money that you talked about? If I told you I trade 4 to 6 times a day, that's only about 4 trades a day that you would need to get to your $6,000 to $8,000. Is that correct? So you don't need 400 signals in a day. You just need to wait for the perfect time during your time that you can trade to get to that point. Now, some of the other tools that you'll be able to use is our data processing center. And why is this so huge? Well, you don't got to scroll through all this nonsense to find out how well the pair, because you can see how well the pair is doing here at 66%, for the last 100 trades. But how well has it done in the past year? You wouldn't know that unless you kind of looked at it. You've been looking at it. That's what all this information is. Daily signals, lifetime trades, 13,658 trades, or signals that we put out. And this is only for the last 2 years. A year and a half, or half a year ago, we didn't even have this process in here. The last year, last month, of course, you can read. Also breaks it down into the daily results, down into the best session, the best hour, the worst hour, right? But even then, at 87.7%, that's not too bad. Not on a daily, right? And you can also look at all the different signal results from all the different signals that we have. You can find the ones that have 100% success. If you go to the NA intraday, you can look over, here's the USD CAD, has had 100% success. These are very powerful intraday trades. They're not super at the money, but they're pretty damn close. 100% over the last 22 trades. Even if you just follow the USD CAD, that's 22 trades. That's about one a day, right? That's one of your 4 to get to consistency. That's like a no-brainer. Then you got other ones in here. The USD JPY is sitting at 93%. 89% sitting at 73 trades for the month. About 2 or 3 a day. Again, you wouldn't take them all, but the ones you would get in, you would notice the pattern of the direction of the MACD, the direction of stochastic, support and resistance. We train you how to do that. So that's how powerful the tools are. You apply that with a community center that has a chat room, the news center, trading tools such as charts, because all the signals pages have our friends over at TradingView. We have the charts up here like this as well. We also, under the trading tools, we have Dex data charts as well. If I could get it over there, thank you. Another big hit for us. This is our own charting platform. Now, this is not per tick data. This is per unit data, which means that if you have it on a 5-minute chart, every 5 minutes the bar is going to move. You're not going to see per tick data, but you can use it because it has our Dex MACD from our Dex indicators on here, as well as all the data feed is our own data feed from ECN, Electronic Communications Network. Now, why that's so important? Because this is the direct, once it filters over, it's direct information on what the price is. You can use this at the moment for that pair. You don't have to worry about per tick data. Okay, so if you put it on, the fastest one you can have is sitting on the minute 1, because every minute the bar will change. Okay, and why that's so important is because this is almost like using MetaTrader and watching your trade using it for Nadex. You don't have to download anything. It's web-based. Using on the signals page, using the trader view system is also, that's per tick data. If you want per tick data, use that. But here you'll get to use our Dex MACD and our support and resistance, which is powerful, which are these red lines here. All right, so these are all great tools, along with booking a consult. How many of you have ever tried calling the site or the company? We pick up the phone. I answer. Well, within reason. I can't answer at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm probably crashed. You hold a consult with us. I'll sit down and discuss things with you on your trading style. We'll look at your journal. We'll look at your process. That's right. We ask you to keep a journal. It's another part of the tools. So with those kind of tools, is there anybody here thinks that they wouldn't be able to do it? Let me ask that question to the group. Is there anything in there that seems too hard not to be able to follow or to be able to do? Now, it's not something that is really noticeable from the outside looking in. That's why we hold these webinars. You might think that's just another signal company that's trying to get my 97 bucks or my 147 bucks. Well, we're not. We are really here to help you. We have our mission statement is to help as many people as possible get to their idea of success, not mine, yours. Take us up on our offer. Come on board, give us a shot. Some of you already have. Stay with it. Stay the course. Work the system. Work the program. Work hard. Don't give up. Don't get distracted. Those things are tough. Now, for some of you that have not bought into the company, that maybe you're brand new, maybe you're coming back or what have you, take us up on this offer. This is a $50 off your first month. Okay, $50 off your first month on the base signals. Don't worry about 5-minute MDMs and all those kind of things. If it's something that you want to learn faster and you do want to trade 5 minutes, then write us in the chat room on board the website, because the website has all the tools on here, online right here. Somebody's online right now, but usually someone's during the day. Ask them for the Dex, for the Trader's Mind MDM series, which is pretty powerful too. Let's take a quick second to show you that. Everything's right inside here for trading 5 minutes. All the signals right on board the page. This is the web-based charting platform, our Dex data charts, but in shrunk down form with our 5-minute signals right on chart. Very easy to use and to navigate. Has all the tools right here for you, as well as the chat room, the journal pages to show you other people that are in there doing it. Okay, you can't really miss it from there, right? I can't do any better than that. So if it's something that you're looking forward to being on board with, come on, buy in, use the code SUMMER17BASE. It's a pretty long-winded code, but you'll figure it out. If you don't remember what it is, you get to the website, ask them in the chat. She'll get you hooked up. He'll get you hooked up in there. They'll have the codes all for you. If you want to do all-inclusive, hit the SUMMER17 all code, and that'll get you on board with $50 off your first month. I'll leave these up here for a second. Right after, I'll come back here in a second, and I'll leave these up in for the questions and answers. If you are watching this video after the fact, I want to thank you for getting to this point of it. And at this point, I'm going to have to bid you goodbye, because we're going to have a questions and answers that's reserved for the people that showed up here and spent time listening to me talk. And they'll have questions, and I'll be able to answer them for them. I really do appreciate you being here, but I also know that if you're going to take some time out of your life to make all this work, then the best thing for you to do is to do it with people that understand your lifestyle, that understand what you want, that have worked it themselves, that are here to help you as much as possible. Please, please, please understand that we are here to help you. Don't come in and just try to suffer through it. Reach out to us and take advantage of the tools and the people that are here to help you. All right. I'm Max Farrow. This is DexTrader.com. For everybody in the room, please stick around. You have questions, you will get them answered here tonight. No matter what they are, we'll do our best. All right. I'm Max. This is Dex. And as always, trade well. See you next time.